Hi, it's Dawn from Ninja Bunny Crochet. Today I have for us to do this color block hat. It's a really cute hat. It's basically a single crochet in the back loop for the brim and then double crochets up here for the blocks. In fact, here is the child size. This is the adult size, this is the child size. The adult size hat will fit a head circumference of 21 to 23 inches and the child size will fit up to a 18-inch circumference hat. So you make your band first. You can wear this band down like this, or you can wear it up, fold it up, whichever you prefer. So it's a really cute hat, and you'll need 3 colors to make the hat, or you can use more colors if you'd like. I use 3 in the same hue. You can use 3 different colors. You can even make it like a Christmas color and do green, white, and red. Or you can do, red, white, and blue. You can make whatever colors you want. 3 colors do work best. 2 colors might not really give it this checkered pattern. So it's really up to you though. But let's turn the camera around and take a good look at this hat. And let's get started making the color block hat. So here's the color block hat up close, so you can see the double crochet blocks and the single crochet in the back loop brim. So you can wear this brim down or you can wear it up. So that's what the hat looks like up close. So let's just push that aside and get out the yarn. So I used Red Heart Super Saver. You don't have to use Red Heart Super Saver. You can use any medium 4 worsted weight yarn that you choose. Red Heart Super Saver is a medium 4 and it is 100% acrylic. These skeins come in 7-ounce skeins, 198 grams, 364 yards. You're only going to use approximately 200 yards maybe of yarn total. About 2 ounces of your dark color and then 1 ounce of each of your other 2 colors. So this color is dark orchid, and then the medium is medium purple, and the light is pale plum. So I chose 3 colors. You can choose any number of colors that you want. 3 seems to work out pretty well. 2 may not be enough colors, but 3 seems to be a workable number. I have 3 hook sizes here depending on the size hat that you are working on. If you're working on a child size hat, you're going to want an H 5.0 millimeter hook for your brim. Then you're going to use an I 5.5 millimeter hook for the body of the hat. If you're doing the adult size, you're going to use that I 5.5 millimeter hook for the brim, and then you're going to use a J 6.0 millimeter for the body of the hat. So depending on what size you are working on will depend on what size hooks you need for your project. You want a pair of scissors, a yarn needle, and some stitch markers are always good to have on hand. So once you have all your supplies, let's get started. I'm going to start with the brim. I'm going to be working the child size, so I'm going to be using my H 5.0 millimeter hook. If you're working the adult size, you'll be using the I 5.5 millimeter hook. I'm going to start with my dark orchid color. I'm going to start with a chain of 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. In the second chain from hook, we're going to start with a single crochet. The loop on your hook does not count as a stitch. So 1, 2, and we're going to do a single crochet. Work 1 single crochet in each chain all the way to the end. You should have 8 single crochet at the end of the chain. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. To start row 2, we're going to chain 1, turn the work, and in that very first stitch we're going to place a single crochet. In the next 6 stitches we're going to be working in the back loop only. If you're unfamiliar with your front loops and your back loops, these are your back loops, right back here, the loops that are further away from you, and these up here are your front loops. So for the next 6 stitches we're just going to work in these back loops, right back here. And do single crochet. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then in that very last stitch you're going to go through both loops and single crochet. This is going to put that ridge in our brim. Row 3, we're going to chain 1, turn the work, and we're going to repeat that. So single crochet in the first stitch through both loops, and the next 6 stitches we're going in the back loop only. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then the last stitch we'll go through both loops and single crochet. Now we just completed row 3, so you're going to continue working the same pattern till you reach row 64. So we're going to turn the work and we're going to start on row 4. So for row 4 through 64 I'm going to have you work on your own. So it's single crochet through both loops, single crochet in the back loop only for the next 6 stitches, single crochet through both loops on your last stitch. And I'll meet back up with you when you reach row 64. I'm at the end of row 64. We still have 8 single crochets. So we're going to chain 1. We're going to fold our work up. So that row 1 meets row 64. And we're going to slip stitch the rows together. So we're going to go through both loops of our first stitch, and we're going to go through the free loop of row 1. I'm going to go ahead and slip stitch that together. Go through that back loop, I'm just going to keep slip stitching the rows together to form the brim of the hat. When we get to that last stitch, go through both loops. to chain 1, and we're going to turn that work inside out so that seam is on the inside. And turn the hat around. Bring that tail over. Now you can work over the top of this tail, or you can put it to the side and you can work over that tail. Weave that tail in later, or you can bring it up and work over the top of it as we go across this, putting our stitches in here. But first we're going to pull out our hook and we're going to switch to our larger hook. Since I'm working the child size, I'm going to go to the 5.5 or the I hook. If you're working the adult size, get your J 6.0 millimeter hook out. So I just pulled my end to the inside so it's not distracting while we're trying to work this stitch. I'm going to weave it in later. You can work over the top of it if you'd like. So we've already chained 1. We're going to work 1 single crochet into the end of each row all the way around. So just put your hook into the end of the row and work a single crochet. Now it might be helpful to go ahead and mark that first stitch, just so it'll be easier to find it when you come back around. So you can go ahead and put a stitch marker right into that first stitch. So again, just work 1 single crochet into the ends of each row all the way around. You should have 64 single crochets at the end of this round. I will meet back up with you at the end of the round. I'm at the end of round 1. We have 64 single crochet. I'm going to take out a stitch marker and we're going to slip stitch into that first single crochet that we did. To start round 2, we're going to chain 1 and we're going to single crochet right back into that same stitch that we just slip stitched into. We're going to go ahead and replace our stitch marker into that first stitch, and we're going to single crochet into the next 6 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Then we're going to do 2 single crochets into the next. 1 and 2. And we're going to do single crochet into the next 7 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and 2 single crochets into the next. 1 and 2. And that's our repeat all the way around. Single crochet into the next 7 stitches and 2 single crochets into the next. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and 2 single crochets into the next. Please repeat this all the way around, and I'll meet back up with you at the end of the round. I'm at the end of round 2. We have 72 single crochets. I'm going to go ahead and remove that stitch marker and slip stitch to the first single crochet that we did. To start round 3, we're going to chain up 3. That chain 3 will count as our first stitch, so we're going to go ahead and mark it. We're going to double crochet in the next 2 stitches. So just like that. Chain 3. We're going to skip the next 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to double crochet in the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, and 3. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, skip 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, and double crochet in the next 3 stitches. And that's going to be our pattern all the way around. It's chain 3, 1, 2, 3, skip 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, and double crochet in the next 3 stitches. One, 2, and 3. So please repeat this pattern all the way around, and I'll meet back up with you at the end of the round. At the end of row 3, we're going to take that stitch marker out and slip stitch to the top of the turning chain, or that first stitch that we made. But we're also changing colors. We're going to drop our purple to the back, our dark orchid, and we're going to grab up our pale plum while we're doing that slip stitch. Pull through and pull through. That's how we're going to change our colors. I'm going to just go ahead and put a light knot right there to hold that pale plum in place. We're going to go ahead and chain up 3. So 1, 2, 3 to start row 4. We're going to go ahead and put a stitch marker into the first chain that we made, because that is the one we're going to slip stitch into. We're going to skip the next 3 double crochets, so the one that we're coming out of and the next 2, and we're going to go right to the chains, right to that chain space. We're going to put 3 double crochets into the next 3 stitches 1 row below. So not into the chain, but into these 3 stitches that are below. We're going to be going around the chain. So you're going to yarn over, go into the stitch, around the chain, and do your double crochet. And yarn over, go into the stitch, you're working around that chain. Again. Just like that. So your stitches go around the chain. Chain up 3, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to skip the next 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to do that again. We're going to go to these stitches below, 1 row below, going around that chain, and do 3 double crochets. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, skip to the next chain space. We're going to do the same thing. Just round those go down to those stitches, the row below, and do your 3 double crochets. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, skip those 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, go to the chain space and the 3 stitches the row below. Do 1, 2, and 3. So continue working this pattern all the way around, and I'll meet back up with you at the end of the round. So we're at the end of row 4. We still have 36 double crochets and 12 chain spaces. We're going to take out our stitch marker and we're going to slip stitch to that very first chain stitch that we made. And we're going to be changing colors again, this time to our medium purple. And again, we're not fastening off any colors. We're leaving them all attached. But I will just put a light knot around this purple here just to hold it in place. So now we're ready for round 5. I'm going to chain up 3, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to put our stitch marker at the top now of the chain, because this is going to count as our first double crochet. And we have 2 stitches here in the chain space, so we're going to put 2 stitches below the chain space. So we're going to put a double crochet around the chain into these first two double crochet, into these first 2 stitches. So we're going to go around and put those double crochets in there. That's going to count for our first block right there. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3. And just like before, we skip those 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, and now we're going to put our double crochets into the tops of the 3 stitches below, in the row below, inside that chain space. But again, we're going around the chain. So 1, 2, and 3. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Skip 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3. Go to the next chain space, and we're going to repeat that. So into the 3 stitches in the row below, we're going to put our double crochets. So 1, 2, and 3. Chain up 3, 1, 2, 3. Skip those 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3. And if you can't see those stitches here, let me just kind of bring this up here so you can see those stitches. I know it's a dark color, they're right there. And we're just going to go right into those stitches around the chain. 1, 2, and 3. So go ahead and repeat this pattern all the way around, and I'll meet back up with you at the end of the round. We're at the end of row 5. I'm going to take out our stitch marker. I'm going to slip stitch to the top of the turning chain, or top of the chain 3, which counts as that first double crochet. We're going to drop our medium purple, and we're going to pick up our dark orchid and pull through and pull through. to finish that slip stitch. Now for rows 6 through rows 20, we're just going to continue the exact same pattern that we were doing. We're going to be repeating row 3, row 4, row 3, row 4, but we're going to be changing colors each time in the same way. So we're going to be doing the dark orchid, the pale plum, then the medium purple. So we're going to be repeating the same color pattern while we're repeating row 4, row 5, row 4, row 5, row 4, row 5, all the way till you reach row 20. Once you get to row 20, come on back and we'll finish row 21 together and finish off the last few touches of our hat, and we'll be done. We're at the end of round 20. We still have 36 double crochets and 12 chain spaces. So we're going to slip stitch into that first chain that we did, and we're going to change colors again to our dark orchid, and I've already clipped off our other two colors because we're done with those now. So you're going to fasten off your light pale plum and your medium purple, or your other two lighter colors, or whichever other colors it is in your sequence that you're working on. To start row 21, we're going to chain up 2, and now we're going to be finishing off the top of the hat. So we're not going to be creating full blocks. We're going to be like creating half blocks. So in this first chain space, one row below, and these two double crochets, we're going to be doing half double crochets. So these two chains that we just did, they'll count as a half double crochet. In the next 3 stitches in the double crochet of the block, you're going to put a single crochet into each one of those stitches. There'll be no more chain stitches for this row. We're going to be now putting a nice solid row across the top. In the next chain space, we're going to do 3 double crochet, excuse me, 3 half double crochets, 1 row below. Then we're going to come up to the next block, and we're going to put single crochets in each one of those double crochets. So 3 single crochets in the next 3 stitches, or 1 single crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. Then in the next chain space, one half double crochet in each stitch, 1 row below. That's a tongue twister. Then single crochets in the next 3 double crochets. And we come up to our next block, and we're going to do the half double crochets 1 row below. Please continue this all the way around to get back to the beginning, and I'll meet back up with you at the end of the round. Alright, we're at the end of round 21, and we're just going to slip stitch to the top of that chain 2, that first chain 2 that we made. And we're going to fasten off. We're going to leave a good length at the top there when we fasten off so we can sew the top of our hat together. So let's get out our yarn needle. Just work your yarn needle back and forth through those stitches around the top of the hat. Once you get all the way around, you're just going to pull it tight to gather it. And it doesn't have to be every stitch, it can be every other stitch. You just want to make sure you get enough to gather it fairly well. Once you get it all the way around, you want to give it a good snug tug. Not too tight because you don't want to break your yarn. And then just put a couple of stitches going across the top to keep it closed. Of course, my yarn came out of my needle. So you want to make sure you keep that closed. So you just want to put a few stay stitches across the top. Make sure you go in a couple of different directions just to make sure that the top of your hat stays closed. So across a couple of different directions. And then you can push the needle down through the middle to the inside, and that's so you can go ahead and tie off a knot in the inside there. Just go through a few stitches. Make a little knot. Snip off your yarn, and there you go. So we have one last thing to do before our hat is finished, and that is we're going to place this row of single crochet around the bottom of the brim. If you are doing the child size, you're going to want to use your H 5.0 millimeter hook. I'm working the child size. If you are working the adult size, you're going to use your I 5.5 millimeter hook to do this row of single crochet. So take your hat and place it so that the top of the hat is facing away from you, and you're going to want the seam facing up because you're going to start in the seam. So put a slip knot on your hook, and we're going to attach our yarn with a slip stitch in that seam. It just seems to be the best place to start this row. I mean, you don't have to start here, but it seems the most logical. Attach with a slip stitch, chain one, and go ahead and put a single crochet right back into that same spot. Now you can work over this tail if you'd like, or you can weave it in afterwards. Just place one single crochet into the end of each row all the way around the bottom of the hat. What this will do is it'll help give the brim of your hat a little bit more strength. So sometimes because you're tugging it on and off, it'll get kind of misshapen. This will help keep it a little bit better in shape. So just place one single crochet in the end of each row all the way around, and I'll meet back up with you at the end of this round. So I've come all the way around, and at the bottom like this, when I do a round of single crochet, I like to do what's called an invisible join. It's not exactly completely invisible, but it helps to hide where you stopped and where you finished. So you just pull your hook straight out and get your yarn needle, thread it up, and you're just going to create a false stitch over this first one. So you go to keep your stitch count the same, you're going to go to the second stitch and place your needle through, and then just create this false stitch over the top of this stitch. And then you're just going to put this one back through the stitch. So it just kind of creates a false stitch over the top. And with this dark color, it's, you know, it does hide it somewhat. And then you go ahead and just weave this in. You don't want to pull it too tight though, because if you pull it too tight, it'll definitely pucker it and make it pretty obvious. But you just kind of, now you just weave this in a few times and your good is done. And because this is your finish, you do want to make sure you weave it in fairly well so that it doesn't unravel on you. Now you just want to make sure you get your other end woven in, and then you're set to go. So let me just get everything picked up here. Back up the camera. Don't mind the loose end. And here's our hat. And when you fold up your brim, your stitches are going on the outside so they look nice. Make a nice decorative look. So, and there is our little color block hat. This is our child size, and again I'll bring over the adult size too. So we have both sizes. The adult size is definitely bigger than the child size. So if you've liked this tutorial, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't done so already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to ring that bell. Thanks for watching, and happy crocheting! Bye-bye!